You can have a makerly mindset anywhere, anytime, even with the most rudimentary tools. And I'm going to tell you how and why and what made me think of this. I just finished a run, the 3.5-mile run here in Verona, Wisconsin. I'm here for a wedding. And this is actually a tale of two capital cities. I think I'm hitting a pattern, but I just was in the capital of Florida, Tallahassee, with my older son who's visiting from England, from the UK. And we went up to Tallahassee to visit my younger son at Florida State College. And we had a wonderful time there. And now I am here. I've just landed. I left Florida at what is currently 2:30 in the morning, 3:30 Florida time. Got on a plane, Breeze Airway was great. And so landed here. And before the wedding that I'm going to at a farm, I wanted to get in a good run. So I went for a run. And I was listening to Adam Savage's book, I'll link it below. I'm forgetting the name of the book, but it's Adam Savage, and it's about, it's like, basically, it's in line with the things that I've talked about with Kindedge 360 and the concept of a makerly mindset. Taking whatever tools, getting hands-on, building new brain connections, synapse connections, neurotransmitters connections, getting yourself hands-on with tools, or just with anything to make something. So while I was listening to this, I was on the run using my Strava app, because we also talk about being data-driven. And it's just fun to know how you feel one day and how far was that in comparison to how you feel one day versus the next day, your speed, what you might have eaten the day before, and that kind of thing. And so while I was running, I went that direction down a nature path, and I'll give you a little view of that nature path. It is so amazing to see the stark differences in every bit of nature. You know, in my videos in St. Petersburg, Florida, central southern Florida, everything is palm trees. It's tropical. And then when we went up to Tallahassee, it's on the border with Georgia. And you have an amazing mix in Tallahassee of tropical and deciduous Midwestern and Southeastern plants and trees. So Tallahassee is so cool because it's got a little of everything right in the same place, in the same ground, in the same plantings. It's amazing. And then I come here, I land in Madison, Wisconsin, and you'll see, I'll show you images of the foliage, but just everything is Midwestern fall, Midwestern fall. Everything is ready for pumpkins. Everything is ready for this wedding that's going to be in a barn on a farm. And I'm so excited for Amanda and Max, who are getting married. They're just a beautiful couple. And I think of Amanda as a baby, so I can't believe she's all grown up. And but they're a lovely, mature, wonderful, beautiful couple, very well aligned. And just something to celebrate, always something to celebrate. I'm glad for her parents, too, who are my cousins. So, yeah, so this makerly mindset, I'm just listening to this because I'm always kind of trying to just get my brain going in another direction. I'm listening to Adam Savage's book, and I'm jogging, and so I get the other direction, and I'm kind of taking images of the foliage and the trees and stuff. And so when I turned around, I decided, well, I'm tracking in the Strava app, and I always see my Strava app when I'm my home in Florida. You can see when I go off like near the water, you can see where I go off a pier on the water or something like that. You can see really distinctly everything. So I thought, what's it going to look like here? Well, I'm going down a path and back on the path. It'll be a little curvy, but for the most part, it's a straight path. So with my makerly mindset, I'm like, well, this isn't an incredible experiment. This isn't an incredible tool, but why don't I just go ahead and on this path, I stopped when I was turning around, and I just ran in circles. And then when I was running back, I did a whole bunch of patterns. If you imagine like different sewing patterns, every different sewing patterns you can set on a sewing machine, or different crochet patterns. I was also testing to see how much is the Strava app going to give a different visual if I kind of go vertically, which is really not going to track vertically visually, but it would know that. So I'm interested what the data is going to say. And then I was curving way left and right. And then I was doing it in quick little jagged bits. So I looked at it now just very quickly. And it's not like, you have to zoom in to see everything that's distinct. But it was fun to think of, here I am using my entire body and a very basic tool that just draws a line in space. And actually the other thing is, when I thought about it, I'm like, it isn't just the Strava app and it isn't just the GPS, because it's also time. Because what I did when I was jogging is I was like, I would go left, I would go way left, way right, trying to make a swirling motion and test that out. But then I was like, well, if I keep jogging at the same speed, but I do the swirling motion really slow, it's going to look a little bit different, like a different pattern. And so it's also time. And so I was like, oh, the tools are time, that kind of thing. And so this reminds me of when I saw a talk in St. Petersburg, Florida, by the director of photography who did Shawshank Redemption, and he's done like 50 of Hollywood's best movies ever. His name is none other than Roger Deakins.
It's interesting thing. It's the next thing that's going to come up, and you can't tell, and that's what's interesting about life, isn't it?
Wow. Roger's philosopher.
Well, yeah.
I've said this wrong 2 times before, Dirksen, and I had his book, but it got flooded in the hurricane floods, sadly. So, but it's the Dirk's. I'll go look it up and I'll check. We'll put it in the notes. So he said the best things he learned, the best differentiators, the best tools, was not learning it in school and using the software exactly the way it was meant to be built. It was him doing something messy and goofy and trial and error. Well, let's see if this does something. It doesn't. Okay, now I know that doesn't do what I'm looking for it to do, or it doesn't do anything interesting. But then he also said, the example I've used before is, he said, one of his greatest films was out in a desert area, and they were looking to create a certain lighting, and they had absolutely no time left. They had to get the lighting right at the moment. There was no time to come back to this location, etc. And so, so he had an old, somebody had gotten lunch, and it was in a one of those cheap recyclable reddish orange plastic grocery bags, and he grabbed it and just held it over his light in various different ways, and created one of the most memorable visuals in all of time. And I'll have to find what movie that was, but that's the stuff. And then all of a sudden he's differentiated, and he's like, well, I'm using the tools, I'm testing the tools, I'm experimenting. In kindedge.com, all I talk about is experiment. Don't go in with the outcome, experiment. And you gain learning, school, tools, knowledge, opinions. I do this with basic things like software every day. I try 10 different ones, and I go, now I know which software makers are the jerks. I know which ones are the good guys. I know which ones are effective, and I know which ones are high maintenance. So now I know why I would pay more or pay less or whatever for something. So, and I can be a better advisor to anybody else that I'm working with and kind of be more efficient. So I just wanted to share this tale of 2 capital cities, this inspiration for a little makerly mindset. And there are squirrels running across the branches, literally from one tree to another. That was perfect. I wish I had another video. So anyhow, I wish you makerly people out there, or you're not yet makerly people, to take everything that's perfect and put it aside for a moment and go do something messy, awkward, imperfect, and unclear and undefined. And you will get yourself in motion to unlock the alternate ending to your life. Cheers, chin chin, and hugs. Peace.